Another quote that I found very helpful, and I want to read it to you because I think it very much applies to young people, and I'm going to read it. If you work hard and smart, but then spend your money unwisely, you will never be prosperous. You know, I think this is such a great quote, and I see it all the time. I see it with young people, you know, especially my age. I'm 30 years old, and you know, a lot of friends that went to school with me, it's really sad for me to see what they're doing to themselves right now. For example, okay, when they were in school, they were barely making any money. And now that they started making a little bit of money, and every year they get a raise, they constantly increase the expenses that, you know, that they're buying bigger homes, that they're buying better cars. And really what they're doing to themselves is that they are locking themselves to whatever job that they're in. And pretty much they're ensuring that they will probably never be able to leave that job because their expenses are pretty much fixed, and they can never go out and, you know, start a company or do whatever they dream of doing because of the way they manage their finances.
Absolutely. I would add something to that. Most of those people that you know are probably heavily in debt. Would that be a fair statement?
I would say so, yeah.
Okay. Benjamin Franklin talks about debt, and obviously in 1758, debt was a little different than our current economy. In our current economy, most people will not be able to buy a house unless they take out a mortgage. Most people. However, when you think about getting into debt, what you're really doing is you're pledging your future to the service of that debt. That's why it's called debt service. And those people that you talked about, and this is, you know, pretty typical American, that spends their entire income on their lifestyle, including servicing of their debt, they do in fact deny themselves the opportunities that will come their way in the future that could really make them prosperous. So I agree 100%.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting, you know, the way I view money, because money can work for you if it's put in the right use, but money is almost as if you had your own employees, and if you spend everything that you make, you're getting rid of your employees.
I like that.
You know,
I like that a lot.
I really view it like this because, you know, in the past, I made most of my money by my labor. I can say that now I make most of my money by having my money work for me. And it really changes your perspective on life, because when you have money that is working for you, it becomes so easy to make money. Unfortunately, you know, a lot of people will never experience it because they will never allow money to accumulate so that it can work for them.
That's brilliant, Mario. That one I'm writing down as you said it, because it's true. And if a person lives a life, applies these financial principles that Benjamin Franklin talked about in 1750.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about these principles.
Okay. Okay. If they applied these principles, just take this one example. In the beginning of the book, there's a woman that asks the character in the book by the name of Mr. Abraham, but that's really Benjamin Franklin. She asks for advice, and he talks about, he says, yes, I will give you advice, but you have to apply this good advice to your life in order for it to work. Well, that's the first principle that I could identify in that book of the 23, and that is applying good advice. The next principle, he starts to talk about time management, and about if you manage your time better, instead of doing things that are wasting time, that leads to prosperity. So this is a cycle that as you apply these principles that improve your financial well-being, I really like what you're saying about money is they're like little employees. So as you become more and more prosperous, you could assign those employees to doing more and more jobs for you, and hopefully become more and more prosperous.
Yeah, I mean, you have so many more options when you do have, money set aside, whether it is, to start your business and have that business generate money, or in my situation, I invest in other people's businesses. I buy stocks, and that's why I have a website, and I try to educate people about investing and how to invest it wisely, because it can really change your life. And when I came across your book, even though it's not necessarily a how to invest book, it is in a way, because it talks about these important principles. Because if you cannot save up money, if you live beyond your means, well, investing doesn't even apply to you, because you don't have any money to invest.
That's right. And a lot of the times, I've gotten requests from people that are 50 years old, and they've got $2,000-3,000 to. A lot of the times, people think I'm a financial advisor, and I'm not. And they want to make $200,000-300,000, and I try to explain to them that you need to take that whatever you've got and make it into more, but something realistic. So it is important that young people, especially, get started right and live this life that Benjamin Franklin talked about in 1758. And it's fun being prosperous. It's not hard. It's way better than the alternative. That's for sure.
Yeah, and talking about making $200,000 a year, I would say it's very difficult to make $200,000 per year with your labor. However, if you have $1 million in the bank, it's pretty easy to make $250,000 a year.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you can make this amount of money part-time, which is pretty incredible. That's the power of what money can do for you. Let's go on to another thing that I wanted to ask you. What are some of the favorite quotes from this book?
My two favorite quotes, I put one on the back of the book, which is, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And my second favorite quote I put on the first page of the book, which is, most money problems are easy problems to solve. Increase your means or decrease your wants, but the wise will do both. And it doesn't get any simpler than that. And the real magic and creativity is when a person applies those two pieces of information to their own life in a way where they start right where they are. And Benjamin Franklin is very much about self-reliance and doing what you can for yourself. So, no matter where a person is in their financial life, if they're having difficulty paying their bills, or if they're wealthy and they want to get wealthier, starting where you are is very important.
So why do you think that even though, we talked about it, these principles are so simple, why do you think people find it so hard to follow them?
Well, first I would say, I would just go back a little bit. Some of these principles people just are not aware of. So first, you have to become aware. If you're already financially successful, you're aware of them. Again, I counted 23 and 17 pitfalls. You probably know most of them. If you're just getting started in life, you probably are not aware of most of them. And if you're having financial difficulty, you're definitely not aware enough of these principles. Now, actually applying the principles, I think the reason people don't is they don't realize that applying these good financial principles is really more fun and more easy than what modern society makes it look like. For example, Benjamin Franklin talks about leisure in the book. Leisure time is very important. And if a person doesn't have leisure time, that is not a prosperous life. So you have to have leisure time. You have to have time to enjoy the things and the people that you enjoy in life. However, if you're not living a prosperous life, it's hard to enjoy leisure time. How can you enjoy going out to dinner with friends or with your special someone, or how can you enjoy going on a vacation if your rent or your mortgage is overdue? So I think the reason many people don't use these good financial principles that will lead them to prosperity is they don't realize that, geez, if I do this, very quickly my financial life starts to improve. And you begin waking up. When you live prosperously, you wake up with an optimism and with a satisfaction in life. Maybe you're not driving the most expensive car that you'd like to have, but the car you're driving, you're enjoying because you're not in debt up to your eyeballs. You're not worrying about the payment that is due next week. And that goes for your mortgages, and that goes for the toys. How many people do you know, Mario, that they pay cash for things? If they want a new boat, they go out and they pay cash because they're spending money that all those little employees, their other money is making for them. That's a far more prosperous life than the guy that is spending his last dollar making a payment on the boat that when he's out on the water trying to enjoy himself, he's worried about paying his mortgage or he's worried about making mortgage payments. So I'm sorry if I'm going on a little too long about this, but this subject just excites me so much. When I see people using these principles, these tools, and applying it to their life, most people get results as soon as 30 days, and their optimism changes. So I get very excited about it.
No, I think